Hello and welcome to the Irish Wolfhound Club of Ireland's podcast, The Living Heartbeat of Ancient Ireland. Today, I'm joined by two fabulous guests. But first, on behalf of the Irish Wolfhound Club of Ireland, I would like to take some time to reflect on the sad passing of our beloved patron, Elizabeth C. Murphy, known to all of us as Betty. Many of you will have known Betty personally through her lifelong dedication to the Irish Wolfhound, through her books, her photography, her wonderful Irish Wolfhound Archives website, or will have met her at the shows, or at her own club show. There, along with her fellow patron Jim Behan, Betty was always welcoming and chatting with exhibitors, before sitting back with Jim to enjoy the hounds being exhibited. Betty dedicated her life to the protection and promotion of her beloved breed through the Mother Club. Betty's contribution to Irish Wolfhounds, not only here in Ireland, but worldwide, was immense. Her passion and dedication never waned. And her work, along with Jim Behan, Oti Pesiputa and Jocelyn Gagne, to create the illustrated standard, will be one of her lasting legacies. Our heartfelt sympathies to the Murphy family. My first guest today is Katie Mullally. Katie is based in England and she has a strong Irish heritage, which is at the centre of her business. This led her to design pieces which caught my eye, Katie's Irish coin collection, in particular the Irish sixpence, featuring our beloved Irish Wolfhound. Katie, you're very welcome here today, and I have to admit I've been following you for some time because I really admire your work. Katie.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Katie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to start your jewellery business?
Okay, well, I started working in my grandmother's antique business when I was a teenager, and she had a couple of shops in London, one in the Old Grays Antique Market and the other in South Moulton Street. And so I used to go there and I used to help her out with the cleaning of the silver. Basically, a lot of it was just cleaning of the silver. But while I was working there, I learned about the value to a hallmark. And what my grandmother would do is when a trader or a customer would come in with a piece of jewellery, the first thing she would do is roll it around in her fingers and just get a feel for it. But then she would check the hallmark, and that would tell you the whole history of the item, where it was stamped, what year it was stamped, who the maker was. And so I found this really interesting. It was interesting background to each piece of jewellery. So fast track, I turned 50, and I just thought I would really love to start working again with jewellery and with silver and vintage. And I always loved going to the markets, the antique markets and things like that. So I decided to go on a silversmithing course, and not being very good at many things, I discovered I was actually quite good at this, the silversmithing, and I really, really enjoyed it as well. So I carried on going to the silversmithing classes, and I still loved my vintage, going to the markets and stuff. So what I did is I got vintage silver charms, and I would design a silver bangle, and I would add these to the bangle. And then I had friends who were interested in buying them, and then I had a shop that was interested, and I suddenly thought, you know what, I really like these designs, but other people do as well. and that's where it sort of grew from there. I then decided that I would start casting pieces, and as the business grew, one of the main aspects of the designs is, my Irish heritage. It's really important to me, and my love of antiques. So it was basically my two loves combined together. So so then.
Well, Katie, you mentioned your Irish heritage there, and how important it is to you, and it's at the heart of your collections. And here in the Irish Wolfhound Club, we feel very much the same. And in 2019, the Irish Wolfhound, along with the other 8 Irish native dog breeds, was awarded heritage status. And this was a very proud occasion for us. And amongst your coin collection, there is the sixpence. And this will be of particular interest to our members. Could you tell us, Katie, a little bit about the process of how you complete the finished piece, and how the size is compared with the original size of the coin?
Yeah. So basically, the charms are cast. I use a manufacturer in Birmingham, and so they're cast, they're hand finished off. They're then sent to either the London Assay Office or the Dublin Assay Office. For me, I hallmark all my jewellery. That's really important aspect of it. And then once I've received it back from the assay office, I then send it to be gold plated. Yeah.
Okay. And they can have a gold or silver finish?
They can have a gold or a silver finish, and I do also 9 carat for special orders. I can do 9 carat or 18 carat, but generally it's currently it's silver, 95 silver, and yellow gold plated. Yeah.
Well, I own one of your beautiful necklaces, Katie, and of course it's the sixpence, and that features our beloved Irish Wolfhound on one side, and on the other side is the Irish harp.
Yes.
And it's absolutely beautiful. It feels lovely.
Thank you.
The weight of it feels lovely. And I'll be honest, I don't wear a lot of jewellery. So I really have to like something. It really has to feel to me, and I really have to like it, the feel of it, as much as the look. And this,
what I wanted to... the jewellery I wanted to design, I wanted to design pieces that felt and looked vintage inspired, sort of vintage. Yeah. That's where I learned from my grandmother. I learned my love of vintage, and, as I say, my father being Irish. And in the UK, you have to hallmark silver over 7.78 grams, which is a certain weight. And a lot of jewelry designers keep the jewelry below that weight, because then they don't have to hallmark it. Whereas I hallmark everything. So to me, it doesn't matter what weight it is. And I want my pieces to feel different, to feel heavier, and just, they don't feel flat, mass produced. They feel hand finished off, and they have a depth and a weight to them, I believe. And that's why, the business is growing. And I think it's great because I have quite a few customers who come back, and buy for friends and family, and Well,
I could feel that, and I must say, I got my magnifying glass out. The eyes are not so good these days, and for close up. And I looked, and I could feel, and then I could see your stamp, and now I realise how important that is to you.
Yeah,
and that's on every piece of your jewellery.
Yeah, it's like an art. I believe it's like an artist's signature.
Yes,
it's something, and it does make the jewellery feel different as well with the stamp of the hallmark. I honestly believe that, and it just it brings it more character, yeah.
Okay. And I noticed your jewellery is very popular with young people, both male and female. And I know a lot of celebrities have been spotted wearing your jewellery, and you've featured in a lot of the prominent magazines and leading magazines like Vogue. And you have other collections. I'm focusing on your coin collection here because that really appeals to me. But you also have Peace and Love. You have your wishbones, which I love, and your crosses. It looks like your collections layer very well and they work well together. You know, for example, you could have a longer chain with a wishbone and one of the shorter coin necklaces, or two pieces on the same chain. And there's some very good examples of this on your website. Had you that in mind when you were designing the jewellery?
Yes, I wanted to design pieces that could be worn in lots of different ways. And that's why most of apart from the wishbones, all the charms have extra large bails, because I couldn't understand why with every charm a chain was sold with it. You know, it always had to come with a chain. And I thought, well, you know, someone might have a chain already. Their granny could have given them a chain, or, you know, they can, you know, have their own chain that they love, or pearls or whatever. And I just wanted them, you know, customers to be able to sort of put the charm on, you know, lots of different types of chains. And also from there, you can also stack lots of different charms together. I wear several charms together. And also, I think it's, you know, if the charms were to be handed down, they can be worn in lots of different ways. You can put them on a key ring, you can put them on a bag, you can, so it's all, of course, about sustainability as well. And I've never designed for a specific demographic. I always have designed plain. I just like plain and simple. And that's why I loved the Irish coins so much, you know, because they're very plain and simple, and they bring so many different emotions to people, you know, because I can remember going to my uncle's farm in Ireland, and mum and dad, you know, giving us some, you know, bit of pocket money to go down to the sweet shop, and it just brought all those emotions back to me. So I hope they are you know, it's something to keep forever. The silver is, you know, precious metal, can be kept forever. So it's something lovely that can be handed down. Yeah.
And Katie, I can identify with what you're saying there, because I really can't pass an antique shop without looking in the window. In fact, no, looking in the window first, and then I have to get in. And anybody that knows me will know this. And so I love seeing jewellery, old artifacts, history, everything like that appeals to me. And I can see, as you said, with your father's ancestry, and was that County Kerry?
It was Mullinahone in Tipperary.
Oh, in Tipperary.
Mullinahone.
Yeah. So the markets still, the markets and antique markets and just auctions that I would call them, that we would go to, still very popular. Of course, not just at the moment, but still very popular. And you can pick up some good bargains there. So.
For definite. My dad took me to, because he was from a farming background, and he would take me to all the auctions. I absolutely loved going, and I still love going to auctions. It's the best day out, I think. It's the most funnest day. And also you can buy things that, you know, not everybody else is going to have, and it's just, I look around my house and I can remember where I bought each piece of furniture, where I got it from, and the day, and that's what's so lovely about going to auctions or, you know, antiques markets. Yeah,
and even visiting different places. If I go away somewhere on holiday, I like to bring something back from that place, and then I know it's a reminder when I look at it in the house, and just something I love to do as well.
We'll have to do that sometime. Well, that would be next time I pop over to Ireland, I'll come over.
Absolutely.
I'd love to go to an auction in Ireland. I would love to. Yeah,
because even you say, I'm just going there, I'm just having a look. It's an impulsive thing. And it's so exciting when you put a bid on. And then sometimes, of course, you get carried away and you pay too much. But on the other hand, you can get a very good bargain. And I just love the excitement of it. It's like going to the races, but, you know, less money involved probably.
Totally.
Now, the Irish coins, they were first minted in 1928 after the Irish Free State was formed. And there was a committee established which was headed by W.B. Yeats, and it was decided then that the coin should feature native animals. And can you tell us, Katie, what animals feature on your coins?
Well, I have the hare, which is the 3D, and then obviously the 5p as well, which is the bull, and then the 10p, I have the salmon, and the sixpence, yes. So, which is the Irish wolfhound. I'm also bringing out a collection of rings, Irish coin rings. So, and they're adjustable. So I think they're going to be very popular. Yeah.
Well, having looked at your website, I see that you have indeed added some new pieces, and that you're now working with the Dublin Assay Office. Can you tell us a little bit about this? And maybe I noticed you have a bracelet, and you just mentioned the rings as well.
Yeah, as I said, my grandmother had an antique business, and her son, one of my uncles, Uncle Michael, worked in the antique business with my grandmother, and he had a love of Irish silver, and he worked with a lot of Americans, and he would source Irish silver for them in London, and he became very well known and respected for his knowledge of Irish silver. And there's a famous book called Jackson's, which is known in the trade as the Hallmarking Bible. Okay. And Michael McElhinney wrote the Irish section of Jackson's. So it was a natural. Initially, I worked with the London Assay Office because I'm based in London. But it was something that I really wanted to do, was to work with the Dublin Assay Office. And I've been very lucky in the last year. I've been working with them. So so that it means a lot. Yeah, it means
it's all coming full circle, Katie.
It is, yeah. And
I suppose the question is, why did it take you so long to come to the jewellery business? Because it was right there in your DNA and in your blood.
You know what, I wonder so many times, Mary, why I didn't stay working for my working in my grandmother's antique business. I worked in the city, and I developed a career doing working in the city, and then I had a family and I gave up work, but I was always doing something. I was still going to the markets and everything. So and it's never too late, is it? My grandmother worked until she was in her 90s. My mother is 91 and she still works, and age is you can still have energy and interest in working.
It's those Irish genes, there's longevity.
It is.
Yes. Yeah. Katie has kindly offered our members a special discount code. This is for a limited time only and ends on the 30th of September. You can view Katie's beautiful jewellery at katiemullally.com. Our special discount code is IWCI 20%. And this can be found on our YouTube channel, The Living Heartbeat of Ancient Ireland. second guest today is Niamh McElhinney. Niamh is a pet nutritionist with Connelly's Red Mills. She is also a professional dog groomer with her brilliantly named business, Canine Millionaires. Niamh will be a regular contributor to the podcast, advising us on pet nutrition. Let's start by looking at the key principles. And then we will talk about everyone's favourite subject, puppies. Niamh, tell us what a pet nutritionist does.
I would basically be a nutritional educator for dog owners. Okay. So my job entails to go into different pet stores, different dog shows, and basically just chat to owners, find out how the dog's doing. Okay. If I can see the animal, just overall comment, general analysis on it. Just to ask if there's any queries or any questions or anything that's bothering the owners in particular. Sometimes it could be general questions as to how many times they feed a pup. Mm-hmm. It could be just they may be going to the toilet a bit often. Their coats may be a bit dull. It's just general things. Even sometimes if there's some bitches that's actually ready to pup, just the right preparation guidelines for that. I absolutely love it, Mary. It just keeps me on my toes. Even for dogs that have such general things like skin issues or stomach problems, the diets now is so intelligent that it doesn't have to cost the earth really to fix these issues. But it's really, really clean nutrition, and it's genuine ingredients. There's no fillers, and it can really just transform an animal inside out.
Yeah, because I'm thinking there seems to be a lot more dogs that we hear about having allergies, and an allergy is very hard to get to the bottom of it. And you wonder, how does this come about? Is it the environment? Is it the food? Is it maybe a combination? And is that where really feeding a good dog food is key?
It definitely would be, because at the end of the day, that dog can actually utilize that diet 100%. Whereas if you have a diet with a lot of fillers into it, you're throwing a lot of obstacles on the digestive system to deal with. Mm-hmm. So you're making it harder on the animal to break down and pull a nutrient from it.
Yes.
What we see more often now is the likes of even crossbreed dogs that now are coming with problems that we've never seen before.
Right.
It can come from a few areas. It can come from the fact that people just breed dogs now as regards without any foresight as regards to dealing with ongoing issues, but therefore it's carried on to the next generation. Plus the fact now we have really, really good veterinary knowledge, good veterinary assistance. So them conditions can be kept under wraps, but they can be passed on to the next generation and so on and so forth. So it's definitely a lot more fluent and through the different populations of dog breeds across the board now completely. Sorry, that's my own dogs there.
That's good. No one's good to hear a doggy in the background.
So with that, so it's just a matter of just marrying up with the right nutrition. Some dogs can be sensitive to different types of proteins. Some dogs can be gluten intolerant. It's just a matter of just finding that crucial point and dealing with it, So it's peeling back the layers and finding out, okay, when did this start going wrong? What seems to appear? How did it escalate? And just putting an overall timeline on it, and trying to get owners to be as honest as they can as well. So, as regards any extra tidbits along the way. So,
well, a lot of our members feed a combination of dry food and raw food.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good approach?
Well,
I think it's a giant breed.
Yeah, meat is the foundation of a dog's diet, hands down. It always has been. With raw in particular, you're feeding a lot of protein there. But then again, it's the vitamins and minerals that's an integral part to the dog's diet. So that holds together all the macros in that diet. And sometimes if people is just feeding more or less the protein from the meat, they're missing out on them essential vitamins and minerals as well. Now, what I would also suggest would be to people to feed a base diet as well, along with the meat, which would be fine.
Yeah.
By providing that, they're still getting 100% diet with the base product.
Yes.
And then just initially adding to it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what most of our owners and breeders would do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely, because at least that way you're safeguarded that you aren't missing out on a lot of those vitamins and minerals. And again, they are crucial to the development and the biomechanics of dogs, regardless what breed they are. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our puppies, wolfhound puppies, are giant puppies, but of course they don't start off as giants, but they grow at a very fast rate. And like as in Great Danes and you know, so, but particularly in the first 6 months, they continue to grow until they're around 2 years old. And for this speed of development, they need, it's vital that they get the correct nutrition, and that's vitally important for them. What should we be looking for nutritionally, or new owners be looking for nutritionally in our giant breed for starting?
Yeah. So nutritional puppy recommendations must always have the meat first as regards any composition when you turn that bag of dog food round. Therefore, when you see that, you know that that's the main source that's in through that product before you even begin. So protein's there for generation and regeneration of growth. It's there for muscle repair. It's there for body tissue production. And it creates body chemicals like hormones and enzymes. So that's why the protein has to be the main source. Plus the fact the protein itself has to be of digestible quality, because it helps maintain those 22 amino acids. 10 of them are essential because the body can't make up or synthesize them amino acids themselves. So with that, it's really the digestibility of that protein is what is based on regards the quality of the food. We know when dogs are actually on proteins that aren't digestible, they tend to go to the toilet a lot. Yeah. So with that, more or less, it's just being passed on through. It's filling the stomach, but they're not doing any more with it, so it's just being passed on through. And that really is a waste of the owner's time, and it's a waste of the dog's time as well. But again, with giant puppies like yours, the next thing on the list would be the calcium. It's a big frame of an animal, so how do we feed for the skeletal development? Well, we feed it with calcium, but also that must go in hand with the phosphorus. And normally these puppy foods are actually calculated in such a way that they will have a 2-to-1 ratio for calcium and phosphorus. So with that, we don't need to add any supplementation to that. As I know many years ago, when diets weren't as intelligent as they are now, a lot of breeders used to add the supplementation to it, which caused the joint to bow out because it encouraged the growth too much of the osteoblasts, and it calcified too quickly for the rate of the body. So therefore the legs actually start to bow. But now with these foods, they're all being taken care of as regards that. And plus the fact, as long as you measure the correct measurement daily, regardless of 3-4 feeds a day, given their age, that takes care of everything to do with their skeletal development. So
that's very interesting, Niamh, and that's vitally important because you know, when they get the correct dog food, and, you know, we hear about it in our own diets, you know, we hear more about going a whole food diet, going organic, eating the good stuff. So there's an awful lot of junk food out there in pet food, just as there is junk food for us. But it's very important that we're not feeding our dogs that. And, you know, there are so many different brands of dog food now that it is a bit of a minefield for for people that get their new puppy trying to decide what's the best one. And I do know with the research and everything that is went on with Connelly's and Red Mills, that they take this very seriously, you know, in all their animal feeds, in their horse and their pet food.
Yeah.
And they have a range, Go Native, which I feed myself to our wolfhounds. And that, I believe that is really, really good. I know it's an organic range, but, you know, we want them to get the best.
Yeah. The Go Native, my own dogs are actually on that as well. Yeah. The Go Native is a grain-free dog food. It probably would be the most eco-conscious dog food ever created, because it's the fact of it's a mono meat source, which means it's a singular source meat. There's no other proteins on through there. This is particularly helpful for dogs that have allergies to different sources of protein. Yeah. So, you know, when you reach for that one that's listed on the front, that's the only protein source that you're actually receiving in that bag. Plus the fact it's pretty high, so it's 70% meat. The herring and the salmon comes from County Donegal. Okay. And the chicken, duck and turkey comes from County Cavan, County Monaghan. And as well as that, the farm in County Cavan would actually feed their chickens and ducks actually on the Red Mills feed. So we have full traceability of everything. Yes. Every ingredient that goes in there is scrutinised. We have quite a high testing laboratory down there, which obviously comes in a massive part as regards the equine feeds, as regards racing, and also now we have animals now competing in the Olympics, which is very important. So before we would use any raw ingredients, everything is scrutinised and tested, and has extra parameters as regards safety. So sometimes I'm a bit jealous of my dogs because I know they're eating better than me.
We say the same thing, and whenever the delivery arrives and it's sweet potato and kale and all of the things, you know, yeah, the dogs are definitely, we think, on a better diet than ourselves at times.
Yeah.
and the proof is they love it. I mean, I did feed a different dog food before that, but they always eat. They don't leave. They always eat their nuts when they get them, and they never leave them. So that's a good sign in itself. And then I think you can tell then with the digestion as well. And when you see, as you say, when it comes through the bowel as well, you know, that it's been digested properly.
Yeah.
So,
and as well as those feeds as well, because you have such a large framed animal, you have your joint carrying through there as well, your glucosamine and your chondroitin, which is one of the main things I would actually preach to a lot of owners for. So, prevention's always better than cure. Yeah.
Yeah. At all the stages of development. So it's in the, you know, it's starting off in their puppy food, the Go Native range, and then it goes right through the adult as well.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the high oils in there as well just gives them maximum density, not only for energy, but also it's highly palatable. So even dogs that are convalescent or just after an operation or are just not very well of themselves, just that small amount has maximum density in it. So it can actually, instead of overloading their system in a very short period of time, these foods can actually get the full nutrient where it needs to be, just in that small amount.
Now, because we also feed some meat and actually some tripe and meat, which a lot of wolfhound owners do. Yeah. The nuts themselves, they're quite a small nut, and I don't moisten those nuts. I just give them to them dry, but they always have plenty of fresh drinking water. Yeah. Is that the way, or would you recommend if they were feeding just for a puppy that they would probably moisten them?
It depends what stage the puppy's at. If the puppy is particularly young, Normally we can actually start feeding puppies from 3 weeks of age onwards. So I would always sort of suggest, yes, soften it down. It goes into like a nice porridge consistency for them. With that, then as they grow bigger, they slowly turn into horses. So they do need to be slowed down as regards eating. They need to chew. They need to learn that it's not going to grow legs and run away. They just take your time, just chew. So roughly in around about 8 to 10 weeks, maybe you can start introducing a lot of a drier kibble then. So,
Okay. And with that, with everything included in that as a puppy, they shouldn't then, if they're on the puppy food, they shouldn't then need supplements in with that.
No, like I say, these foods now are highly intelligent as regards to every vitamin mineral is considered in that gram per feed. Yes. So with that, when you work out the kgs of your puppy, and just contrast along, do you see the amount per day? And then you just divide that amount over the 3 feeds or 4 feeds, or depending on the stage of that puppy, whatever age it is. Normally when they reach 6 months, they're big enough then to have 2 feeds a day.
Yes. So, that's normally what the way I would do it as well. Well, what about then when you're training your puppy about rewards? Is human food good for rewards, or should we kind of avoid that?
It has to be high value, but however, what I do tell people is that when you start introducing human food, you can make a stick to beat yourself with, because they become very wise to it. And then they will not eat their own food. So, does that sound familiar?
Yes, that sounds very familiar to me.
So really, as regard, we're just chatting about the Go Native there. They actually have treats that are associated with the food. They're Go Native treats. They're 30% meat. With that, because of the high meat content in them, they're perfect size. There's also they're very, very palatable, very tasty. So therefore you have the dog's instant attention when they receive one of them. So that's what you look for. So as soon as they look at you, then you know you have their attention, and then you can continue on training.
You see, I'm smiling there, Niamh, because I do know when we get our delivery of Go Native, we also get the treats as well. There's the duck one, and there's the salmon one. But so yes, they get those. And you see, a wolfhound the size of it, whenever it's looking at you and you're sitting down, it's practically looking at you at eye level. So they end up getting those, and then they end up getting some chicken, and then they end up getting some other treats that I'm eating myself, maybe. And it's kind of quite hard. It's kind of quite hard to say no, but I do know we do have to be careful.
This is the dogs are an extension to our family, no doubt. And I have dogs myself, Mary, and I know it's very hard to refuse 2 big brown eyes flashing at you and giving you your paw, and just, it's but sometimes we have to remember that dogs have a total different physiology to us, so therefore they can't utilize the food the way we can. So that's where you have to be careful. Nothing would surprise me now as regards what people tell me as a dog's favorite treat. And, it's, sometimes it can be a bit, oh my God, I don't believe I just heard that. But then, when you explain as to why they can't have them things, then they truly understand. It's not that we're being bad. It's not that we're being meanies. It's just the fact that we don't want your dog to be sick as regards eating digestive biscuits constantly, or and sometimes with chicken and ham and stuff like that, the ham can be very high in sodium.
Yes.
And plus the fact if we overdo it with the chicken, we can tend to have a runny tummy. So there is a borderline there, yeah.
So Niamh, thanks for joining us today. And this is the first in a series of episodes that you're going to join us. And just as an extension of this, we can put it out to our members if they have any questions that they would like to put to you about puppies, puppy nutrition, or just about their dogs in general. They can email me and I'll send that out, and we'll catch up with you the next time and hopefully answer those questions.
That's fabulous, Mary. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Niamh.
Looking forward to next time.
Well, that's been so informative, and there's so much good advice for all of us. If you would like to send in a question, please email it to me and I will pass it on to Niamh. My email address is mary@asolus.com. Until next time, thank you for listening, keep safe, and always remember, where the hound leads, the heart will follow.